Hi Trevor. First of all, thank you for the interview. Also, I played on the online bootcamp you've organized prior to the release of the closed beta, and congrats on an event. I'm sure it wasn't easy to set up due to the time constraints you had. Amazing event for sure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go. So, the closed beta has been out for more than a month now. Is it going according to your most ambitious expectations?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the reception we've received on Twitch and the overall engagement has really exceeded our expectations. We've been, very impressed with how engaged and excited people have been with playing Valorant. We're doing our best to try to meet those expectations and the excitement level that has been met with the game. And that's where we're, as we're prepping for worldwide launch, there's all kinds of things we're learning from the closed beta that is helping inform us what we need to do and the things we need to prioritize to supply what the needs are of the audience and all the players that are enjoying Valorant.
Okay, and was there something that caught you off guard during the beta, either good or bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, one obvious one was just certain combinations of abilities was allowing players to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So, if Sage put a wall up and Omen teleported on it, he can get out into all kinds of crazy spots on the level, or Cypher is placing these cameras in spots that allow it to clip through walls and you can see all around the map. Obviously these are things that we never really did internally. We never really tried, and I think just the total amount of players and their interest has allowed them to come up with stuff that's more creative than any of us would have figured out. But that's helping us understand, okay, there's areas of the game that we still haven't quite patched up or have found the right systems to resolve. So those are things we're looking at, is figuring out hey, how do we ensure reliably that Omen can't escape out of the map all the time, or Jet or Cypher or any character or agent later on that places objects won't find 1,000 places that it feels exploitative or abusive. Those are areas we're looking into.
Okay, looking at those areas and even the good feedback you receive, how are you approaching balance and eventual balance that the community says, and eventually implementing it in the game?
Yeah, so just like League of Legends, we want to be a live service. We want to continue to maintain and balance the game for a long time, as long as we possibly can. Our exact cadence is something we're still feeling out and finding what is the right level of changes and adjustment and injection of new content that makes sense for Valorant. And some of that will be learning out through how the community feels about it and their feedback. But our plan, regardless, is we want to make sure that we're supporting and balancing content and systems that already exist while finding the right cadence of injecting new content that keeps the meta fresh and just the play in general fresh, whether that's a new agent or a new level, or even possibly maybe new guns at some point.
Although there's already a big amount of players with access to the beta, can we eventually expect an open beta, or are you planning on jumping straight to the release?
Yeah, so all we've really said now is we have closed beta, which we're running at the current time, and then we have our planned release summer 2020. And we haven't really talked about what exactly is the bridge from those 2 points, but that's the ramp up and where we want to be by the targeted range for our date.
Okay. You've also been receiving a lot of slack due to Vanguard, your anti-cheat. Can we expect a less intrusive solution in the future?
Yeah, so I'm definitely not the subject matter expert in security, but what I could say, or my own personal opinion, is, we want to find the right balance with Vanguard where we recognize that cheating in a competitive game is one of the most frustrating experiences you can have, and it can completely delegitimize all the hard work and effort that you've put into the game and you've played for to have your rank or your current skill level, and a cheater can ruin a lot of that. So we want to find the right balance to ensure we can get as close to cheater-free experience as we can, understanding those frustrations, but we don't want to get to the point where we're feeling too invasive or to a point where the community is uncomfortable. So obviously with closed beta, we're learning with the community and with Vanguard as it comes online of what is the right balance. And that's my personal opinion. There's some pieces that the security team has put out that also goes into more detail about their approach.
So, still about Vanguard, in a post made by the League of Legends team recently, Riot referred that Vanguard is currently only working on a bare bones state. Why is that?
So I think a lot of it is as we stand up more games for Riot, and we need more systems that comprehensively address certain problems that you see across all games, like cheaters. We need more systems that work, like Vanguard as an example, as an anti-cheat solution. Previously, when Riot was just League of Legends, we could focus everything really particular on League, where it's like, hey, the cheating is like botting for leveling up, fog of war, like could be map packs, but we had fog of war for that. And then like scripting, right? So like scripting out of skill shots and stuff is like one of the primary methods of cheating in League, and they've had a lot of focus on how to address that. Vanguard is a newer solution as we bring more games online, particularly for now focused on Valorant, because Valorant is a game where cheating can be very disruptive, and it's one of the more challenging areas to ensure good game health and game integrity without cheaters.
Okay, amazing. So going back to gameplay, do you plan on trying to have agents as balanced as possible, or are you taking like a similar approach to League of Legends, where some will be more towards the fun aspect and not exactly competition at higher levels?
Yeah, so I mean, I think our goal is not that every agent at a high level is equally balanced in all levels of competition. I think that's a very unrealistic goal. But we do want to make sure that every agent has a place at some point in all the varying levels of competition. So whether it's in very low MMR or very high MMR, all the way up to like a tournament, we want to make sure that agents have a purpose in all those environments, whether it's on a specific level or a specific team, and that's ultimately our goal. And we just want to avoid the we want to make sure that drafting your agents is always an interesting choice and decision, and we want to refrain from getting to like a very stale same 5 to 7 whatever agents in every single game.
Okay, you've also said previously that you're planning on adding new agents as the game progresses. So how worried are you about how greatly this might change the meta in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely acknowledge that the injection of a new agent is pretty disruptive to the current meta and the way you play in a level, or the way you think about drafting a team and the way you do setups and executes and whatnot. So we're definitely going to take a slower approach with each agent. We want to spend a lot of time testing it internally and making sure we feel like it's really adding to the game and it's not disruptive in a negative way. So I would not expect a cadence of something like League of Legends early on, where we had a new champion coming out every 2 weeks. We'll be much slower than that for Valorant, but we do want to find the right cadence to inject new agents and make sure that we spend the time getting them to a state that feels like they're a healthy addition to the game.
Going now towards a bit more esports, there's been quite a few tournaments already, as well as the interest of many well-known esports orgs. How do you see these initial interests, having in mind that you previously stated that you're taking a slow approach with competition?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately one of the high-level goals for Valorant was to be a competitive game. We wanted this to be a game where spending hours of investment to get better reflected back, and that was satisfying, and that naturally can lead to competition. We certainly don't want to brute force it or make it feel like we're forcing it to happen when organically it would not. So we're trying to find the right balance of supporting it when the need is there, but not forcing it when it's not wanted. And I think it's coming at us a lot quicker than we expected, seeing a heavy amount of tournaments just even in the closed beta. So I think we definitely are seeing indicators that the community wants tournaments and wants a larger just general engagement with esports on in regard to Valorant, and we're trying to figure out the right strategy and how we support that and build it up long term. But I would say that it's all on the competition and tournament side happening a lot quicker than we expected.
Good. So still about in-game competition, what should we expect from eventual seasons and meta tweaking?
Yeah, so right now we're still filling out exactly what ranked looks like, the tuning for ranked. and how that rolls into something larger as far as like, what is the relationships to like traditionally this has been called seasons in games, and how does that reflect with like larger tournaments, and that entire ecosystem is something we're still figuring out and finding the right cadence for all of these things and what makes the most sense for Valorant. Long term, we definitely have the aspiration that Valorant is a game that at its height is played with a group of friends or teammates that play against other teams. We think that's kind of the height of competition for Valorant and what we'd like to see. And we want to make sure that whether you're playing unrated or competitive or whatever we have to come, that's all a very clear, well understood path towards this greater aspiration of big esports and tournaments and events. And that's all informing the kind of ecosystem you might see with ranked and seasons and how all that works. So, I mean, honestly, I don't have an exact answer for you of exactly how it looks, but that's kind of how we're thinking about Valorant and how we want to construct the season, what may be called seasons, and the different steps you take in advancing in this like height of competition as you experience the game.
Okay. What's behind the concept of the 3-bomb site map, and how do you think players will perceive it on the long run?
Yeah, I mean, I think with every map, the thing that we've tried to do is create something unique and special about the space. So with Bind, we have the teleporters, and then with Haven, we have the 3 sites, as you mentioned. And our hope is that this stuff doesn't feel like a gimmick or it's just novel, and after a while it ends up being less interesting than if it didn't exist. And so far, with Haven, we said, hey, let's make middle really, really important, like a core aspect of the rotations and all the traveling points for the map. And that ended up leading to the idea of what if it was a site. I think overall it's been an interesting new challenge where players have had to figure out, well, how do you distribute events across 3 sites rather than 2? And over time, there's an understanding of like, oh, well, you have to build your agent composition to allocate for 3 sites and utilize the tools they offer to make that more manageable. And you change up your strategy as defenders from your traditional setups of the 2-site map. So overall, I've personally felt pretty positive about the reception, and we hope long term it continues to stay interesting and strategies develop, and that it doesn't feel like, I just want to play a 2-site map whenever I get the 3-site map is ultimately our goal. Okay,
so final quick question. When can we expect more information on the official release date? Because summer 2020 is not that far away.
Yeah. I mean, we're still, considering where we're at with the work from home situation. We're assessing our velocity and where we're at with closed beta and our ability to support new regions and getting all the server infrastructure we need online for launch. We're using all of that to lock in on a particular date that at some point, we'd like to share. But for the time being, we're sticking with summer 2020 because there's just a lot of moving parts right now and unforeseen issues that we're trying to nail down and have confidence in before we move forward with more information.
Okay, Trevor, thank you so much. Bye.
So, yeah.